To synchronize my on-premise Active Directory with Azure AD, I'm going to pull up Microsoft Edge. I'm going to sign into my Azure subscription. Now, Server 2019 does not have Microsoft Edge on it by default, just Internet Explorer. But if you simply go and search Edge, you'll have the option to download, and you could use any browser you want. You could install Google Chrome, Firefox, any browser you want. I just choose to download Microsoft Edge, and I just use that. Internet Explorer will not work for this, though, but any other browser will work. I'm going to sign in to my Azure portal, portal.azure.com. This is my Azure user account. And I'm just going to sign in with that account. So what I'm going to do is go to Azure Active Directory. That's always under favorites here in the list. And now in Azure, I have a list of users. I have just a few users that actually show up here that I have already created. You can create a new user. In the new user window, I'm going to go to this Create User. And I'm going to name my user KBrownAdmin. And for the name, I'm going to make the name Kevin Brown Admin. So I'll just fill in those fields there. I'm going to set my own password. The only other thing I'm doing, it gives me this groups and roles, and I'm going to go to roles, and I'm going to click user, and this gives me a list of roles. A role determines what you can do within Azure. So if you need to manage applications, there's an application administrator. If you need to manage billing, there's a billing administrator. I want to manage everything. So you'll see this global administrator can manage all aspects of Azure Active Directory. But there's a pretty long list of roles. If you need to manage licenses, there's a license administrator. If you need to manage printers, there's a printer administrator. If you just need to manage user accounts, if you use Microsoft Teams and you need to manage Teams or Skype, there are all these different roles that show up. But I'm just going to choose Global Administrator, which gives you full control over Azure Active Directory. Now I will just click Create. It is going to force me to change that password the first time I log in. So what I'm going to do is click this KBrownAdmin. This is the username. Yes, it looks incredibly weird. I'm going to copy that. My email address that I use to create this account is kbrownmct@hotmail.com. So what Microsoft does, when you initially create your Azure subscription, it takes your email address, in my case, kbrownmct@hotmail. It drops the @ symbol and makes that part of your username, and it appends .onmicrosoft.com behind that. So I'm this kbrownadmin at kbrownmct@hotmail.onmicrosoft.com. When you create your Azure subscription, if you choose to do that, that's the way yours is going to show up. Whatever email address you used, it's going to take that and append .onmicrosoft.com. Now, you would simply register the domain name that you actually want if you wanted this to say RTS Networking, but you have to do that after you create your Azure subscription. What I'm going to do is just log in with Bob Ross with this account. I'm going to open a new window here, an in private window, and I'm going to go to portal.azure.com. And the reason I open this in private, if you open just another tab in the screen we were in, it would keep me signed in with that same account, where the in private is just a different session altogether, and nothing that we were just signed in with carries over to this. So I'm going to use that KBrown. Now it's going to want me to reset my password. So I'll enter my current password, and now I will reset it. And that should be done. Barring a typo. Success. Now this is saying my organization needs more information to keep my account secure. So I'm just going to choose next. And it's going to want you to set up multi-factor authentication. So you'll see here, it says I need to set up at least 2 of these options. So I can configure an email address, I can configure a phone number, but I'm not going to do either of those right now. Now that I've created the user, when I look in my Azure Active Directory, if I scroll down the list, you'll see AzureAD Connect. I'm just going to click on that, and there is an option to download AzureAD Connect. Here, I'm just going to choose download, and it automatically starts downloading. And that is almost done. Now this is going to be saved into the downloads folder on your computer. That's done, so I'm just going to click Open File. That looks to be finished, so I'm going to close the browser. And I'm going to open this AzureAD Connect here on my desktop. Use Express settings we just talked about. And I'm just going to paste in the credentials. And I'm just going to connect and verify my credentials. Now it says, what's your actual username in the on-premise environment? So this is looking in the on-premise. I am rtsnetworking.com/administrator. And that's my on-premise password there. And we know that because it says enter Active Directory Domain Services Enterprise Administrator. Enterprise is on-premise. Now you'll see here, it says Active Directory UPN suffix, rtsnetworking.com. It says Azure AD domain. I don't have a suffix added. That is fine. I'm just going to click this continue without matching suffixes, and we'll just choose next. We will install, and it'll automatically start synchronizing. Pretty fascinating. Now I can see my configuration is complete, and it says I can log into Azure or Office 365 and verify that user accounts from your local directory have been created. Well, I'm going to do that. Let's pull up the portal again, and I'm just going to refresh to make sure it's current. You'll see here directory sync. It says this BROS, yes, and has this other, just an on-premise sync account here. But I know that these were synced from my on-premise environment. All the ones that say no, they were created directly in Azure. So we know our Azure AD Connect totally worked. Very straightforward process overall.